So I just built a PC recently and then I said screw it and bought a laptop. Like, I'm not against having it, it's just the timing on my part was absolutely terrible. Why would you build a PC and then immediately go buy a laptop? You know, I'm not really sure, but I do know that I need an ultra smooth segue into the next part of this video. So hey guys, I'm Callum from CIR Inventions and welcome to the Dell XPS 15 review. It's amazing that I even have 1,000 subscribers. I should just get on with it. Let's get into the review of the Dell XPS 15. My specific Dell XPS has 256 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigabytes of RAM, an Intel Core i7 processor, and it has an NVIDIA 1650 4 gigabyte graphics card built into the laptop itself. Despite all these pretty good features, this version of the laptop is actually on the lower end. You can get up to 2 terabytes of storage or 64 gigabytes of RAM, along with some other features that I'm sure are upgraded. So just keep in mind this is a lower end version of the laptop. And if you need more power, then you can get it just by buying a, well, it's going to be more expensive, but a more powerful laptop. The Dell XPS 15, as the name may imply, is a beautiful 15-inch laptop with an insanely good display. The main selling point of this computer is the large 15-inch screen with a minimal bezel, and I have to say it does look very, very nice. The colors are sharp and not too bright, along with a mostly glare-free screen, making it something easy to look at even for long periods of time. Along with this screen, there is a built-in webcam, and thank God this isn't like some other Dell laptops, and the webcam is on top of the computer instead of being at the bottom of the screen, where it's basically a nose hair cam. Gotta say, it's a big relief, especially with the rise of online school and virtual meetings as of recently because of a certain thing. Now, I did briefly mention the specs, but let's go a little bit more in depth with some of those specs, because those were just the basics. The i7 9th generation core processor by Intel is great, and it works for pretty much any basic office tasks or work tasks, and I've even used it a little bit for video editing and some extremely light gaming. More on that later. But it is also helped by the built-in graphics card mentioned earlier. The Dell XPS 15 comes with a 4 gigabyte NVIDIA 1650 for most of the models. There are a couple that come with a 6 gigabyte version. Now this graphics card, along with the processor, is pretty much perfect for everything you need to do, except if you're thinking of doing high-end gaming on this laptop. You're not going to get perfect settings with 240 FPS or anything like that. Now, I will say it still gets good frame rates and it still has good quality. More on that later. But this computer is primarily made for office tasks and it does a great job at that. Even with so many Chrome tabs open when doing online school, the computer runs just fine and almost doesn't lag at all. Now, yes, this also does depend on your Wi-Fi a little bit, but still, it runs pretty well. Now, time for the aforementioned gaming. Gaming is an interesting topic when talking about this computer because it's not really built for gaming. It's an office and work-based laptop primarily. But let me show you that it totally can game if you want it to. Unfortunately, I have to use my current least favorite game because it's free and it uses high graphics. So here's Fortnite. Despite my dislike towards it, it does provide a good basis for graphics capabilities and overall performance for a somewhat highly graphic intensive game like Fortnite. Especially since it also has to update in real time for 100 different players all at once. As you may be able to see, there are some lag spikes. I just saw it go down to like 30 for like a millisecond and then go back up to what it's at right now. I just did another one. Also, I hardly have ever played this game on a PC, so just keep in mind that I'm probably garbage. Yeah, like I said, this thing isn't made for gaming. You can game on it, it's not made for it. So as you can see, the gameplay isn't too bad. We did have a lot of lag spikes, but this is at pretty high quality on a lower end version of this computer. Like I said, it's not built for gaming, but it didn't do too bad. It's starting to get warm here. It hasn't really heated up too much yet, just because we haven't really been playing that long. But trust me, it will, especially with the fans going like this. This computer's gonna get hot. Anyway, time to delete Fortnite. Now, surprisingly, it actually does run pretty smooth, varying between about 60 to 80 FPS on high settings in Fortnite. While it did have a couple dips while playing, they were short-lived and it returned back to its 60 to 80 FPS. The biggest downside to gaming with this computer is, one, it's not really made for it, but primarily, the fans are so loud, it's insane. And half the time I was playing with the computer, it felt like it was going to catch on fire. This is partially because the XPS is not built for gaming, like mentioned earlier, and partially because I was using max specs, which for any computer is going to push it to some extent. But considering that this is a lower-end Dell XPS 15, and it still runs pretty well except for the temperatures, it's pretty impressive, which means that this laptop, especially with higher specs, can run very smoothly for any games that you might want to play, while also working as a great work laptop. For being what is considered a pretty big laptop at 15 inches, it certainly doesn't feel like it's a massive 15-inch laptop. It certainly isn't heavy, and like mentioned earlier, the bezels are so small that it's mostly just screen anyway. So as a laptop should be, it's very mobile and very good to use when you're moving around a lot or on the road or traveling, or even just as for personal use around the house. Along with this, it has a huge trackpad, and it works pretty well even if you don't have a mouse. On the pad itself, there are separate left and right click buttons, which is nice, but you can also just double tap on the trackpad to right click. The keyboard is pretty flat, but it feels nice to type on it, and it is backlit, which is always a nice bonus. Overall, the built-in keyboard and mouse work just fine, but I'd recommend at least a separate mouse just because it feels better and is easier to use, especially if you're going to do that gaming mentioned earlier. After looking at many aspects of the laptop, I have to say it performs pretty well even compared to my built desktop and other built desktops on the market. And it certainly performs better than a lot of other laptops. But if you're seriously thinking about buying this computer, keep in mind that the lowest one with all the lowest specs still costs $1,050, and it goes up to $1,900 if you get max specs. So it's not cheap, and it's going to leave it in your wallet no matter what. But I have to say, if you're looking for a laptop with a large, very clear screen and can do all the work you need it to do, and even some gaming on the side, I have to recommend this laptop. The large screen, the nice keyboard, the power that it packs even on a lower end, and its overall versatility makes it a great choice for anyone, but especially people who plan to work with it a lot. It's also a great option for people who travel a lot or are on the go with their job. So overall, I have to recommend this laptop and give it a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect, but I think it still does a great job at what it needs to do. So yeah, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed this review. This is the first review of a laptop that I've ever actually done, so hopefully it was entertaining and informational. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you'd like to subscribe, consider subscribing today. And yeah, I'm Callum from CIR Inventions, and I will see you in the next video.